Chapter 33, Ash Warden. "Hold," came a commanding voice from above. Peering up, Kai saw a man floating in the air. No, not exactly floating. Coils of ash extended out of the man's back, propping him up into the air like spider legs, perched off buildings. He wore armor similar to the guards he had seen around, only his was a little more intricate. Hexagonal plates made up the armor, covering him from neck to feet. They were the same grey as the city's walls. The man lowered himself, tendrils of ash maneuvering him down the alley until he was standing on the ground, blocking Kai in. "Lord Warden," Henry bowed from the waist. Kai noticed that even the two henchmen were kneeling with heads bent down in respect. The small man's sword was out of sight. Kai, a little slow on the uptake, put his sword away. A move that didn't go unnoticed by the Lord Warden as his gaze fixed on Kai for a moment before refocusing on the noble. "Explain," the Lord Warden demanded. Despite that they were all on even ground, Kai could tell the man was looking down on everyone, even the rich-looking Henry. "Yes, sir. My name is Henry Tabitath, merchant and auctioneer of the Strauss House on the main road inn." "Tabitath? I thought Ronaldo Tabitath was the owner of the Strauss House," interrupted the mysterious warden, giving the merchant an even more critical gaze. "He was, sir. He died in combat on the front lines, not 3 weeks ago, delivering goods and weapons to the soldiers. As his oldest, the title fell to me." Henry took on a gloomy, crestfallen face. Kai's cynical thoughts believed the man was playing it up. "I see. I'm sorry for your loss, Henry Tabitath. Your father was a good and generous man, from what I hear." The warden expressed his condolences. "Thank you, Warden. Now explain the situation." "I have business at the palace shortly," the warden said. "I am currently visiting the capital, looking to hire new staff for my estate. After eating, we were traveling when someone bumped into my friend here." He pointed to the short man, who now stood. Kai had a sinking feeling in his gut. It was the same feeling when he was about to fight a tough monster. His instincts were telling him to get the hell out of there. Unfortunately, he was trapped. The warden was blocking the alley exit, while the other three were obstructing the other way out. To my friend's surprise, his coin pouch went missing. "We followed and confronted the thief," he pointed at Kai. "And when we asked for it back, he immediately drew his sword out, threatening our lives," the noble lied smoothly. Kai was stunned, speechless. What a piece of lying crap. The pressure of the warden's gaze rooted him firmly in place. There was no possible way he could escape this man. "I'll take him to a guard station before I proceed with my business," the warden responded. Quicker than Kai could blink, the warden was upon him, grabbing his arm tightly. Kai yelped in pain. His tunic was pulled up, revealing his hidden coin pouch, before it was deftly grabbed and thrown over to the small man, who was grinning as he caught it. "Hey, that's mine," Kai called out. He was pissed. His face was turning red with anger. He had left most of his remaining money home, but he still had about 10 extra gold coins in there. "Stop resisting, or you're going to end up hurt." The warden's voice was laced with authority. "Are you even going to listen to my side of the story?" Kai turned his head to look at the warden behind him. Now that he was getting a closer look, the warden's face was littered with scars, the most prominent one going across his nose and right eye. "I just heard it. You three need to report to a guard station later to fill out a report." The warden started pulling Kai away towards the street. Unable to resist, his heels dragged across the cobbled ground. He looked to Akane, who was on her back napping, a smirk on her face. "That little rascal. Your meal ticket is being arrested." Kai shot her a scowl. He was growing desperate as he was finally brought to the street. Who had been ignoring the situation beforehand was now solely focused on it. Kai felt the gazes on him, some filled with pity, others just didn't seem to care, only watching for the entertainment. "Wait, those three were assaulting a young girl," Kai called out in a desperate last bid to clear his name. The warden paused before turning to the three who were walking away to the other exit of the alley. He gave a questioning look to the group of three. The two minions started withering under his glare, but Henry held strong. "There was a young girl we were discussing the possibility of her joining my staff. There was absolutely no assault. She left after we began chasing him, or she would collaborate my story," he lied blatantly. Kai sent the man his death glare. If looks could kill, Lord Tabitath would have exploded on the spot. Should have just minded my business. Last time I get involved with this shit again. Kai's head flopped down as he lost hope. He was too weak and lacked the influence to stop anything. The only shining light was that the girl had escaped, although he wished she had stuck around so she could tell this mysterious warden the truth about the situation. He was going to be arrested and robbed, and there was nothing he could do about it. "I've seen enough of this travesty," came a new voice from out of sight. Kai recognized that sweet voice. He did not know whether to groan or cheer out. Lifting his head, Ashley stood before him in a light blue sundress. A large floppy hat covered her head, keeping the artificial light out of her eyes. She was smirking, clearly finding the situation funny. The audience's attention had shifted from Kai to Ashley, who stood out among everyone with her strange attire. "Release him," she demanded. With no other words, she moved her hand into an arc, and a badge with illustrations appeared. Kai couldn't see what was on the badge before it was tossed over to the warden, who quickly snatched it out of the air with his free hand. Frowning as he looked at it, his eyes went wide. Immediately Kai felt his arm released. The warden kneeled on one knee, head down, similar to a man about to be knighted in those fables he was read as a child. Only the warden looked more subservient. "Whatever that badge is, I want one." "My lady," the warden spoke with reverence, "before you mar this city's reputation even further, I suggest you conduct an actual investigation and interviews into the events before arresting an innocent individual." She spoke with an icy tone. The displeasure was obvious, as her sweet and usually inviting eyes turned cold when she looked down upon the warden. Kai had only seen this side of her with Jason. "Yes." The warden squeezed his eyes closed. "Lucky for the both of you, since you deigned an investigation below yourself. I happened to witness the situation," Ashley said. "With the authority granted to me by the Ash Monarch, Emilio Gilmanash, King of the Ashbourne Kingdom, I, Ashley Morey, authorized the arrest of Henry Tabitath for assault on a mortal, intimidation, lying to an official officer of the kingdom, and being a lecherous scumbag." "Yes, my lady," the warden shouted loudly. Returning the badge gently to Ashley, the warden moved in a flash. Kai could barely see it as he vanished down the alleyway towards the retreating trio. Stepping in front of him, Ashley blocked his vision. She looked into his face, her cold stare turning warm. She reached out, grabbing his hands with hers. "Hey, you!" Kai allowed her to grab his hands. "Hey, thanks for this," he spoke sincerely. Her hands were warm in his. He tried peeking around her head to see what was happening, but she moved her head to the side, blocking his vision. "You're welcome. Truth be told, I would have stepped in to stop it sooner, but when I saw you come back to the alley demanding they let go of the girl," she reached up and fanned herself with her hand. "It made my heart go aflutter." She smiled deviously. Kai heard terrified screams coming down the alley. Ashley let go of his hands and reached down, picking up Akan, who was now sitting and watching the events unfold. The fox lifted her front legs, making it easier to be picked up, causing Kai to laugh once aloud. "Might be the softest thing ever," Ashley whispered, her eyes glazed over. Holding Akani had some kind of drug-like effect on people. She snuggled Akani into her chest and sighed happily. The warden returned, dragging the three figures behind him. They were all unconscious, bruises all over their face. "I believe this is yours." The warden dropped Kai's coin pouch into his hand in addition to a second. Kai looked up to question the man, but the warden was already bowing to Ashley before walking away, the unconscious trio being dragged along the cobbled ground as Kai had only a few minutes earlier. He hadn't apologized, but Kai didn't care enough to pursue it. He was just happy enough not to be arrested. "What are you doing now?" Ashley mumbled, her face burrowed into Akani's fur. "We were on our way back to the academy for dinner." How about we go out to dinner instead? I know this amazing restaurant. Best food in the city." Akani perked up, staring daggers at Kai. Noticing Kai's hesitation, Ashley spoke up. "You would turn down a date with such a beautiful young lady. Why is she so interested in me? I'm no one important. Perhaps I can find out more if I go out with her." His stomach decided at that moment to growl loudly at the idea of food, making Ashley smile. "Fine. Dinner. But this is not a date, he relented. She gave him a knowing smile. This way. She turned around and began leading him down the street, still carrying Akane. Kai was very conscientious. Almost everyone they passed by was staring at them or giving them looks. He was getting looks of envy, while Ashley was receiving looks of lust. Her outfit had an appeal to it, which was definitely meant to attract attention. It made him wonder where she was the entire time during that situation. Someone who stood out as much as she should have been easily spotted. Should you be walking around without a bodyguard? Kai whispered. He twisted his head, looking around for such a figure. You're basically royalty and… Kai cleared his throat. Very pretty too. Ashley's cheeks reddened. Or, worried about me? That's sweet. She paused for a moment, giving him a flirty look. You'll protect me, won't you? She winked at him. Kai gave her a deadpan reaction, drawing laughter from her. I have a bodyguard. He wouldn't be doing a good job if he was easily spotted, though. I don't even think the warden noticed him, she surmised. Kai looked around but didn't see anyone. Not that he expected to. His sensory abilities were basically non-existent at this time. He missed the days when he could feel the blood around him. Almost no one could hide from him then unless they were out of range of his ability. Who was that man? Kai questioned. He had to be someone important for even a baron to show respect to him. The warden? She looked to see Kai nod. The man is an ash warden, one of an unknown number of elite soldiers who traverse the land and mountains in the Ashbourne Kingdom. They are equivalent to the royal guards, except they handle tasks outside of the palace and report only to the king or their commander, Ashley said. The warden reminded Kai of himself in his past life, an elite soldier exploring the lands, fighting monsters, and saving people in the process. They walked in silence for a few minutes before Ashley spoke up. Here we are.